Hey there. Welcome to a deep dive into fashion algorithms. So glad you're here. Clearly, you're into AI and how it's changing things in fashion. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. But first, a quick shout out to our sponsor for this deep dive, Cloutfit.ai. That's Cloutfit.ai. They're a B2B fashion commerce company. And they were founded by, well, let's just say some seriously experienced people. We're talking former CPO and CTO of major fashion e-commerce companies. So they know their stuff. Cloudfit.ai is all about using AI to get people more engaged and help their clients make more money. So yeah, if you find this deep dive as interesting as we think you will, definitely share it with anyone who loves the idea of smarter fashion tech. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives like this one.
What's really interesting is how these fashion algorithms are being used. It's not just about suggesting what you might want to buy next, like people who bought this also bought that. We'll get into that for sure. But it's also about making the whole business run more smoothly behind the scenes, which ultimately makes things better for you. Right. So
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. So where do we even start with all this?
our sources point to Zalando. It's a big European online fashion retailer. And they're doing some seriously cool stuff with AI to keep track of how their business is doing, almost instantly.
So it's not just about figuring out what I want to buy. They're using AI to understand their whole business better.
Exactly. We're talking about a company that's dealing with data from over 4,200 microservices. Those are like tiny programs that handle specific tasks, plus all the information coming in from their SAP modules, which handle things like finance, logistics, and billing. It's a massive amount of data.
Wow, that sounds super complicated. How do they even make sense of all that information?
Well, they've created something called a data hearing architecture. It's basically a smart way of organizing all their data based on how often it needs to be accessed. So they have these categories: hot, warm, and cold. The hot data, the stuff they need all the time, that's stored in a super fast database called SAP HANA. Warm data, which they access less frequently, that lives in Amazon Redshift. And then the cold data, the stuff they rarely need, that's kept in a data lake on Amazon S3.
So it's like they have this data thermostat or something, keeping everything at just the right temperature.
Ha ha ha. That's a great way to put it. But it's not just about being organized. It lets Zalando analyze what's happening in their business, almost in real time, without spending a fortune on data storage, which is a huge advantage these days.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But hold on, let's back up a sec. How did Zalando even become this huge fashion powerhouse? Did they start out with all this fancy data tech?
Actually, their story is a great example of how companies evolve. Zalando didn't start by selling everything. Initially, they only focused on one thing: shoes.
Shoes, really? That's kind of surprising. It's hard to imagine them as just a shoe store now.
Right. But their journey to becoming a fashion platform has been fascinating. And it hasn't always been easy. They definitely had some missteps along the way, especially when they were trying to expand into new markets.
No, I love a good story about missteps. Do tell.
Well, there's this pretty funny anecdote about a TV ad that they ran in the Netherlands. It was a huge success in Germany, but it totally flopped in the Dutch market, all because of cultural differences. It just goes to show that what works in one country might not translate well to another.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. The companies really need to understand their audience and adjust their approach accordingly, especially when you're dealing with something like fashion, which is so personal.
Absolutely. And Zalando learned that lesson the hard way. But what's really impressive is how they transitioned from being just a retailer, a place to buy things, to becoming a platform.
Okay, so what does that even mean? What's the difference between a retailer and a platform?
Think of it this way. As a retailer, you're focused on selling your own products. You control everything, from design to manufacturing to distribution. But as a platform, you open up your infrastructure and your resources to other brands and sellers.
So instead of just selling their own stuff, they're creating this whole ecosystem where other fashion brands can grow. Is that a good thing for shoppers?
It can be. It often means more choices and maybe even better prices. And that brings us to a topic that I think a lot of people are interested in: personalization.
Ah, yes. The algorithm that seems to know our style better than we do. Tell me more about how Zalando is doing this.
Well, they're really focused on the online shopping experience, making it as enjoyable and easy as possible. They're using AI to create personalized recommendations, curated shopping clubs, and even exclusive product drops, all tailored to your tastes.
That definitely sounds appealing, but how do they know what I like? Sometimes I don't even know what I like.
Haha. That's the magic of the fashion algorithm, right? It's always learning from your browsing history, your purchases, your preferences, even things you've liked or shared on social media.
So it's like having a personal stylist who's always keeping up with my ever-changing tastes.
Exactly. And this idea of personalizing the experience, it goes beyond just product recommendations. Zalando applies this moments that matter approach to other parts of their business as well.
Okay, I'm really curious now. What are these moments that matter? And how are they applying it beyond shopping?
Well, it's about recognizing those really key moments in a customer's journey where you can really make a difference. Like, for instance, Zalando applies this thinking to their recruitment process.
Their recruitment process, you mean like
Okay.
when they're hiring people. What does that have to do with fashion algorithms?
Well, it's all about creating a positive experience, a memorable one. Just like they want to make shopping seamless and enjoyable. They want the experience of applying for a job at Zalando to be a good one, too. So they use automation to streamline things, like interview scheduling.
So they're using AI
Yeah.
to help things run smoothly behind the scenes, even when it comes to hiring.
Yep. And that frees up their HR coordinators to focus on more meaningful interactions with candidates. It's a great example of how AI can actually enhance the human element, not replace it.
I like that. Thinking about the whole experience, not just the obvious parts. So Zalando has this amazing data operation. They've evolved into a platform. They're nailing personalization. But what's next? What's their vision for the future of fashion?
Well, they're definitely investing a lot in technology, content creation, and those brand partnerships we talked about. They're even testing out a fashion assistant powered by ChatGPT.
A fashion assistant powered by ChatGPT. Okay, that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. What would it even do?
It's still early days, but you can imagine asking this AI assistant for style advice, getting personalized outfit recommendations based on your calendar, or even having it help you design a custom piece of clothing.
Wow, that's wild. It feels like we're on the verge of this whole new era of fashion, where tech and AI are playing a much bigger role.
Yeah.
But with everyone jumping on the e-commerce bandwagon, how do brands stand out? There's so much competition out there.
That's a really important question. Just putting a private label on a generic product, that's not enough anymore. Building a strong brand identity and offering unique, high-quality products, that's more important than ever.
Okay, so how do you do that? What's the secret to building a brand that people really connect with?
We got some insights on that. From Dan Ashburn. He's the founder of the Titan Network. He's built a really successful career selling on Amazon. And he's a big advocate for creating real brands.
Real brands as opposed to what?
As opposed to just slapping a logo on something and hoping for the best. Ashburn says it's all about having a clear target audience, a strong brand position, and products that actually offer something different.
So it's not just about being trendy or having a catchy name. It's about having a deeper purpose and understanding who you're trying to reach.
Exactly. And he's really big on using data to make smart decisions. Like Google Trends can help you spot opportunities and see what people are actually searching for. There's even a tool called Trendly that can help you stay ahead of the curve.
Trendly. I've never heard of that one. I'll have to check it out. But you know what's been on my mind? The economy. Things are a little rocky right now. Inflation is up, and everyone's talking about a possible recession. How does that affect e-commerce and fashion specifically?
It's definitely something to think about. We're already seeing some signs. Costs are going up, and people are being more careful with their money.
I know, I've been thinking twice before buying new clothes lately.
I hear you. But Dan Ashburn actually has an interesting take on this. He says there's never a bad time to launch a brand as long as you have a solid plan and really understand your market. It's about adapting and focusing on profitable growth.
So even in tough times, there are still opportunities out there. You just have to be smart about it.
Exactly. Strategic, maybe even a little bit daring. But most importantly, you have to understand your customer and what they need.
You know, this whole conversation about Zalando and them being headquartered in Germany, it makes me think about the challenges they're facing. With the European economy the way it is, and competition heating up from global players, how are they handling all that pressure?
They're definitely not standing still. They're constantly innovating, investing in new tech, and expanding their platform. Remember that bold move they made? Acquiring About You.
Oh, yeah. That was a big one. Why was that so important? Remind me.
Well, think about it. About You is known for influencer marketing and a super personalized shopping experience, which fits perfectly with Zalando's vision of being the go-to fashion platform.
Ah, so it was a strategic move. to strengthen their position in the market.
Exactly. It gives them access to a younger, more digitally savvy customer base and brings together two powerhouses of fashion tech. Imagine the possibilities they could leverage About You's influencer network for super targeted marketing campaigns with personalized recommendations and exclusive product drops.
It's like a fashion marketing dream team. But merging two companies, especially ones with different cultures and tech stacks, that can't be easy. How do they handle all those complexities?
Now, it takes careful planning, open communication, and a willingness to learn from each other. But if they can pull it off, the rewards could be huge.
It's like they're creating a fashion supergroup,
Yeah.
and we can't wait to see what kind of hits they produce. But getting back to this whole thing about navigating a tough economy, it makes me think about this conversation around fast fashion versus slow fashion.
Right. If you connect that to the bigger picture, this economic uncertainty, it could actually speed up the shift towards more sustainable and mindful consumption.
Yeah. People are becoming more aware of their spending habits
Yeah.
and the environmental impact of their choices. I know I am.
Exactly. And that's where Zalando's commitment to sustainability comes in. They've really been investing in reducing their environmental footprint.
Like, what kind of things are they doing?
They're using recycled materials, offering sustainable shipping options, and looking for ways to make their operations more energy efficient.
It's good to see a big player like Zalando
Yeah.
taking the lead on this. But sustainability isn't just about what companies do.
Right.
It's about our choices as consumers, too.
Absolutely. You have a lot of power as a consumer. By choosing sustainable brands, supporting local designers, and just buying less stuff, you can contribute to a more ethical and environmentally responsible fashion industry.
That's a good point. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the whole thing, but every little bit helps.
For sure. And, if we think back to AI, it can actually help promote sustainable fashion. Algorithms can help you find eco-friendly brands and even suggest ways to upcycle clothes you already own. Give them new life.
Wait, so AI can help me breathe new life into those forgotten clothes? In the back of my closet, I am so on board with that. But I also wonder, with all this talk about the metaverse and virtual fashion, is physical clothing even going to be relevant in the future? Are we all just going to be wearing digital outfits?
That's a big question these days. I think both physical and virtual fashion, they'll both continue to exist and evolve alongside each other.
Yeah. I can totally see myself rocking a digital gown for a virtual gala, but I'm still going to want to feel a soft cashmere sweater on a cold winter day.
There's definitely something about real clothes, the way they feel, the way they move with you, that's hard to replicate in the digital world.
That's a sensory experience.
Exactly. But the metaverse, it offers all these new possibilities for creative expression. Imagine experimenting with styles and identities that you might not feel comfortable trying in real life.
It's like the metaverse can free us from some of the limitations
Yeah.
of physical fashion. We can be bolder, more experimental.
Yeah, and who knows how these two worlds will influence each other in the future. But one thing's for sure, the future of fashion is definitely not boring.
Okay, so we've talked about Zalando's journey, the power of personalization, the rise of sustainable fashion. We even went into the metaverse. It feels like we've covered a lot.
We have, but there's always more to learn.
You know what? With all this talk about AI and algorithms, it makes me wonder about the human element. What about the designers, the stylists, the artisans? All the people who bring passion and creativity to fashion, are they just going to be replaced by robots?
I think that's a concern a lot of people have, and it's understandable. Nobody wants to see human creativity stifled or jobs lost.
Right. We don't want to end up in a world where everything is designed by algorithms and manufactured by robots. Where's the soul? Where's the artistry?
But here's where things get really interesting. I actually believe that AI can empower human creativity, not replace it.
Okay, I'm listening. How so?
Think of it like this. Algorithms can handle the repetitive tasks, analyze huge amounts of data, and even generate initial design concepts that frees up designers and stylists to focus on what they do best, bringing their unique vision, their artistry, and their emotional intelligence to the creative process.
So it's not about man versus machine. It's more like man with machine, working together to create something even better.
Yeah, it's like giving artists and designers new tools to express themselves. And think about the possibilities this opens up for data. We talked about how Zalando uses it for business insights and personalization, but data has the potential to really revolutionize the whole fashion industry.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What do you mean?
Imagine being able to trace the entire journey of a garment, from the raw materials, to the factory where it was made, to the store where it's sold, and even to your closet. We could track its environmental impact, make sure fair labor practices were used, and make the whole process more transparent.
Wow, that would be huge. It would give so much power back to us, the consumers. We could actually make informed choices about what we buy.
Exactly. It would hold companies accountable
Yeah.
and could really drive positive change in the industry.
Yeah. No more hiding behind vague claims.
Right. And data can also unlock some amazing levels of personalization and
Yeah,
customization.
now we're talking. Tell me more.
Imagine creating a digital avatar of yourself with all your measurements and your style preferences. Algorithms could then generate custom clothing designs that fit you perfectly and match your personality.
Hold on. This is blowing my mind. It's like having a virtual tailor.
And it gets even better. Think about on-demand manufacturing. Instead of mass-producing clothes that end up in landfills, we could create garments just for you, reducing waste and ensuring a perfect fit every time.
Okay, that's the future of fashion I can get behind. Sustainable, personalized, and stylish. Where do I sign up? But with all this talk about data, I gotta ask about privacy.
Of course, that's a valid concern. We can't just ignore the potential risks. As we gather more and more info about shoppers, we need to make privacy and security a priority and make sure data is being used ethically and responsibly.
Yeah, we don't want to end up in a world where every move is tracked and our personal data is being misused.
Agreed. It's a tricky balance. But the potential benefits of data, especially in making fashion more sustainable and personalized, they're just too important to ignore.
So we've talked about AI's impact on fashion, the role of data. We even touched on the metaverse. But what about the future of fashion retail? Will we all be shopping online? Or will physical stores still have a place?
That's a question a lot of people are asking. I think both online and offline retail will stick around, but the lines between them are getting blurrier.
Yeah, I love browsing online, but there's just something about going into a store, trying things on, getting advice from a stylist. It's an experience.
Right, and that's the opportunity for physical stores. They need to create these immersive experiential environments that offer something you can't get online. Pop-up shops, interactive displays, personalized styling, even augmented reality where you can try on clothes virtually.
So it's about making the store a destination.
Exactly. It's about community, connection.
And speaking of change, are we making any progress on inclusivity and diversity in fashion? I mean, we've seen some positive steps, but there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, you're right. The fashion industry has had its issues with representation, but technology can actually help drive positive change here.
Okay. I like where this is going.
Algorithms can be trained to promote diverse models and designers, which can challenge traditional beauty standards and create a more inclusive and representative industry.
So instead of just perpetuating these narrow ideals of beauty, AI can actually help us celebrate the beauty in all its forms.
Exactly.
I love that.
It's about using technology to amplify voices that have been marginalized and create a more equitable industry.
That's a powerful thought. But, with all this focus on technology and data, do you ever worry that we're losing sight of the artistry, the craft, the heritage of fashion? Fashion is more than just algorithms. It's a way we express ourselves. It reflects our history and our values.
That's such an important point. Technology should never overshadow the human side of things, the creativity, the craftsmanship.
We don't want everything to become mass-produced and soulless.
I agree. But here's the thing. Technology can actually help us preserve and celebrate that heritage.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
Think about digital archives that preserve historical fashion collections, virtual museums. We could even use AI to recreate lost techniques or patterns.
So we can use technology to connect the past and present.
Right. It's about finding that balance between innovation and tradition.
This has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
We covered so much.
Yeah.
From the impact of AI, to the role of data, to the future of retail. But I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
There's always more to explore. The fashion industry never stands still.
As we wrap up, can you leave our listeners with one final thought? Something to inspire them to keep exploring this world of fashion and technology.
Fashion is so much more than just clothes. It's a powerful way to express ourselves, a reflection of our values, and a glimpse into our history and dreams for the future.
It's about telling our stories.
Exactly. As we move forward, be curious, ask questions, and use your voice and your choices to shape the future of fashion in a way that reflects who you are.
That's a great message, and a perfect place to end our deep dive. But before we go, a big thank you to our sponsor, Cloutfit.ai, for supporting this exploration into the fashion algorithm.
And to all our listeners, thanks for joining us. We hope you found it valuable. Keep exploring. Keep expressing yourselves.
And don't forget to subscribe to The Deep Dive for more deep dives into the world's most interesting topics. See you next time.